just because you could make money doing something doesn't mean you should do it. You should really talk to people, make sure they want it and they think it's a good idea to pursue.
We are transitioning now to our Knowledge Entrepreneur panel. At the goal of this panel to equip everyone watching with actionable insights and strategies to leverage your own knowledge and entrepreneurship for innovation and societal impact. We've got a fantastic panel joining us today. For the next hour, we'll be diving into some questions, getting some hot takes from different members on the panel. And we're joined today by Taireez, who's a member of our community and has developed her own AI tools to help people with accelerating their job search in that function. We've got Mike Joya, who is one of the co-founders of Pickaxe, who helps knowledge entrepreneurs do just that, monetize their knowledge and making it easy and accessible to create your own AI apps that you can monetize, you can get out and make an impact with. We've got Shelly, Berman, Rubera, who brings years of experience from business development and consulting and coaching, and her own knowledge entrepreneurship with helping people grow their businesses and now using AI to make an impact. And then Travis Rosser, who is the CEO and founder of Tapmender. He's one of the co-founders of Kajabi and the author of You Inc. Welcome to the panel, everybody. We're excited to be here today on day 3 of the Scale with AI Summit. How are you guys doing? We're had a call with Taireez and Shelly, but Mike, Travis, how are you guys doing today?
Good. Excited to be talking about this stuff.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm here in Pickaxe HQ. If you want a quick tour, there's Nathaniel coding things, and really excited to talk about this new space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a great time to just kick things off with a question that is helping us define what exactly is a knowledge entrepreneurship. And so I'm going to start, Mike, with you, and then we can do a panel around this, get everyone's take on it. But what distinguishes knowledge entrepreneurship from traditional entrepreneurship, in your opinion?
That's a great question. Knowledge entrepreneurship is something that really got started with the internet, and Travis blazed the way for it with Kajabi and helping people sell their knowledge. Basically, it's taking knowledge or expertise you have and then turning it into a product or a venture that other people can buy. One of the first versions of this were online courses, but now increasingly we see people turning some of their frameworks. Online coaching is obviously a big thing, but then what we see now is people turning their knowledge into AI products, like a chatbot that embodies some microservice of your knowledge.
And Travis, so what's your take on knowledge entrepreneurship, and as it relates to how someone might define a traditional entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I stumbled upon knowledge entrepreneurship on accident. Just being someone who's been building stuff online for a long time. Before there was a Kajabi, knowledge entrepreneurs sold their information through DVDs, and you would see things online or maybe even a TV commercial, like the guy that would teach you how to do Excel, or Don Lepre would teach you how to do tiny classified ads. This was a business that was around for a while, and then we discovered it on accident when we built Kajabi. And then since then, those Kajabi customers have made $7 billion selling their knowledge. And it's crazy. I never knew that would happen. But here's what a knowledge entrepreneur is. It's basically all of us. Everybody has knowledge. For a long time, there was information and there was the information age. But then you attached information with people in real world experience. And that's where you had knowledge entrepreneurs. And the next evolution is Mike with Pickaxe. And this is so awesome to see this. I met Mike because he connected with me through LinkedIn. And I love what they're doing because it really is. It used to be sharing knowledge through courses and coaching and webinars, which still is wonderful. But this next evolution is we have this tool with AI, how we can turn all knowledge into something that becomes more of a tool and a piece of software. And it's so exciting. The scalability. That's why I love that you're calling this the Scale Conference. This is what's happening naturally. And I could literally talk about this for hours. So I'll just stop it. Stop it right
Thank you so much. Shelly, from your experience, your background, how do you distinguish knowledge entrepreneurship from traditional entrepreneurship?
It's a really good question because I hadn't even heard the term until you mentioned it the other day. So now I have pages of research that I've been reading, and what I've come up with, I don't really still see an enormous difference between knowledge entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. We're taking our own knowledge, our own life experience, and turning it into a service or product. But in the reading and the research that I did, it made me really remember that it sounds an awful lot like what we used to call cause marketing. And that the goal of being a knowledge entrepreneur is to have a societal change, to make something, change someone's thinking or to make change within society via their knowledge. And so I don't know how I see them as different, other than to fit it into cause marketing for the good of someone else. Does
Thank you,
that resonate? Does that make sense?
Maybe
Yeah.
I can clarify on that. It's like when, to me, a knowledge person is somebody like Nomadic Matt in the travel agent and travel industry. And then you have your traditional travel agent. The traditional travel agent was just somebody who books your trips one time and then gets a commission and you're done with them. Nomadic Matt, however, is somebody who is using his own personal travel experience and then turning it into courses, turning it into guides and workshops and ways for people to learn what he's already learned so that they don't have to go through the same pain points that everybody else has gone through, which your traditional person would not have actually had that experience to share that with you, because it would not have occurred to them. That would be something that needed to be addressed. That's my opinion.
Well, thank you for that, Taireez, Shelly, Mike, and Travis. I think it's a good setting for like understanding what knowledge entrepreneurship is and seeing the different perspectives is valuable. With that in mind, there's a lot of fast-paced change in today's market, and there's a lot of opportunities. I would say like an infinite amount of opportunities in the market. What are some ways that knowledge entrepreneurs can keep up with this pace, especially being a subject matter expert? I'm sure helps, but are there any ways that you're seeing from your vantage point? We'll start with you again, Mike, that you can capitalize and maybe even just identifying opportunities to capitalize on and make sure that you're spending your time on the right problems that are going to make the greatest impact.
Totally. I think there's two categories of the knowledge entrepreneur. There's one who is already doing this and already probably has a community that they're selling their knowledge to. Maybe they already have courses, or maybe they have more intimate one-on-one clients as a coach or consultant. And then there's another category of people who should probably read Travis's book, You Inc., who have not yet figured out how to sell their knowledge, but they have a rich life and they have a lot of experiences and they certainly have a product to sell. If you start with the first category of the people who already have some sort of business selling consulting, coaching, knowledge services, I think it's just spending time with your clients and trying to really figure out what they actually need help with. And I think the more time you spend with them, the more you'll uncover new areas where you actually have even more knowledge to help them with. And then as far as staying on top of all the tech, I think you just got to read some newsletters, go to summits like these, meet other people online, just socialize. Humans are social creatures, so talk to people. And I'm biased, but I would also argue really experimenting with AI and seeing what that can do to scale your knowledge, because these large language models are all built around, they're very good at this. It's like exactly what they should be used for. And if you're in the first category of person, I think this is probably a good segue to pass the ball over to Travis, but I think you really need to just concentrate and think about what you have to offer that's valuable to people.
Yeah, Travis, same question, passing it over to you.
Yeah, it's interesting because when we built Kajabi, we had a vision and a dream for it, but we didn't understand who the customers would be. And then over time, we got to know them really well, and they eventually became what we called Kajabi heroes. And I got the chance to interview hundreds of them. And that's why I wrote the book, You Inc. It's really about turning your knowledge into a business and how you are actually the business. And I broke it down into 4 categories, and this will help someone find what their knowledge is. Because like I said, everybody has knowledge. And I love that Shelly said it is really about helping someone else. That's how the desire is. I could help you figure this out. And here's the 4 categories. I'll go over them quick. The first one is your profession. What do you do? That's the obvious one. I'm good at accounting. I'm good at getting out of debt. I'm good at mowing someone's lawn. There's courses on all this stuff. The next one is passion. And this is something you do for fun, playing golf, surfing, flying drones, whatever it is. The next one is a problem. Did you overcome a problem? Did you get out of debt? Did you make it through a divorce? And then the last one, this is the forgotten one. And sometimes this can be difficult to monetize, but it's pain. What pain have you been through? And again, it could be divorce and debt, which is also a problem, but it could be like losing your voice and you're a music artist, or throwing your back out and you're an athlete. Like these pains, someone's gone through it, and they first used to go to YouTube and look it up, and then they solved it for themselves. Usually knowledge entrepreneur has solved a problem for themselves. And a lot of great businesses, especially in the SaaS world, like Kajabi or Pickaxe, they're based on solving a problem. But a knowledge entrepreneur, this is also why I love knowledge entrepreneurs, because there's no manufacturing, there's no inventory, there's no shipping. The knowledge is transferred like this, or it's transferred through a course, or it's transferred through social media. So It's funny because if I go to a dinner party or I'm out for drinks with friends, I will pull out their knowledge business every time because all of us have it. And really, it's about the first opportunity is just start sharing it on social media. Help people for free. Like I met Mike because he cold called me and he wanted some advice. And next we're on Zoom for free. There's something about us as humans helping other humans figure something out or overcoming something. It creates this beautiful energy. And I was lucky enough to build Kajabi, which allows you to monetize it, which is the whole thing. When you fill your cup up first, you can help so many other people. And I love turning these kind of obscure ideas into businesses. It's awesome.
Love it. Thank you so much, Travis. Shelly, I'm passing it over to you. And especially when it comes to filling your own cup and then helping others, you've had so much experience in the consulting and coaching realm over the years. How do you feel knowledge entrepreneur, like you're able to capitalize on opportunities now in the world of this knowledge entrepreneur in a way maybe that is different than 10, 20 years ago?
That's different. I think the biggest word for me has to do with two words, commitment and discipline. No different than Travis said. Who are you? What do you want to do? What have you been through? And how can you turn that into something? Whether that be for profit or for nonprofit, right? What is it? The other thing is that I literally could slap myself in the face if I pick up the computer at night. It's a sink tank. I think I'll get in bed. I made a little look at TikTok. An hour went by. Are you kidding me? So I am committed to books. I said this in the group the other day, the AI Edge. It's all about selling. Co-Intelligence. That's an incredible book about Ethan Mollick. It's all about combining the two intellects. But I feel like it's a commitment to being the best you can be, doing the best with what you experienced, and always learning, but separating the difference between the screen. And I don't want to hold even, what is it called? A Kindle. I want the book. So it's how do we break out from this every single minute and just remain human?
Yeah, and I think in such a tech-driven society, and this question goes to you, Taireez, when you're talking about using technology to enable people and give them opportunities that also will disconnect them from the screen. You've had your own travel apps, you've helped people travel and do all sorts of things, which I'm happy if you could share a little bit more about that. But what role do you see and how has it impacted you that technology is playing in enabling your own knowledge entrepreneurship?
Just recently, my most recent project was creating a resume cover letter app. And that only came about because I was laid off in February and I was heavily into AI. And I thought, my God, this is taking a long time to really apply for jobs. And I thought, how's anybody doing any of this? To spend so much time on one application, which you don't even know if you're qualified for. You don't even know if anyone's going to see it other than a computer. It felt like a real waste of time. So when I finally started to create the prompts and everything for myself, I recognized right away that is a pain point I'm feeling. And that as a knowledge-based entrepreneur, I think that to myself, I thought this is something that someone else might also be feeling as an unemployed person. Do you really have time to only spend on 3 resumes a week? Because this really is a numbers game. It has to be more than that. It's got to be 20, 30, 40 a week that you are applying to and that you actually qualify for. So then that's how I think that it all has to play together, in that it's got to really be that if you've got something that helped you first, and then you can give that to someone else. That is the gratification for me. Like Travis was saying, it's about sharing that knowledge to help actually diminish that pinpoint for somebody else.
Thank you, Taireez. And Mike, I'm going to, this balances between you and Travis with your role in building the technology for a lot of these apps that are enabling entrepreneurs. Where do you see technology right now today playing the most impactful role for enabling new entrepreneurs and getting started? And then a 2-part question is that once someone achieves commercial success with monetizing this, how do you see striking a balance between just success with your own business and then applying that for also doing good in society, or are they like 2 sides of the same coin?
The first question I think is easy. The second questions we could talk about for hours. For the first question, it used to be that to participate in the digital economy online, unless you were doing eBay or a couple other things, you had to know how to code. You had to be technical, which is a niche skill that very few people in the world have. So it was really a very small amount of people that could participate in the digital economy, or you had to hire people to build stuff for you. And the trend increasingly, year after year after years, it's getting easier to launch businesses online. SaaS products, micro SaaS, you don't even know how to code. It's getting, and that's what Pickaxe is. It's all no code. So I think I'd say the first thing with technologies is letting people launch digital businesses that can reach not just their city block, but literally 5 or 6 billion people across the world by just launching it on the internet, just making it easier to build these sorts of things. And Travis has a very interesting take on this too, because there was a economy of selling courses through DVDs, obviously through snail mail, and he digitized that product. And the result speaks for itself, billions of dollars of courses sold. So for me, really, technology is all about making it simpler for people to use products, or simpler for people to launch businesses. And technology should be above everything, like user-friendly, easy for people to use, and human-centric.
And maybe the second question to reiterate is, once you have the technology that's enabling it, how are you balancing commercial success within your business with also having a positive societal impact, or are those kind of two sides of the same coin?
I don't think they're two sides of I don't think they're opposed at all. Hopefully you're a moral person, so that's important. But I'd say as you make money, you got to really examine and say, is what I'm selling people actually bringing value to them? And make sure you're constantly listening to people that are buying your product and changing it and iterating it based on their feedback, and just making sure you're being honest the whole time. And the flip side of AI lets you scale really quickly. So you need to get less people involved, which is great. But also it scales bad ideas as much as good ideas, right? So I think it's important. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. I guess this is where I hope you're surrounded by good people in your life. If you're going to launch a business, validate it a little bit, talk to people, make sure, just because you could make money doing something doesn't mean you should do it. You should really talk to people, make sure they want it and they think it's a good idea to pursue.
Yeah, I think surveys and polls and market research is huge.
Yeah. And I'd also say another thing is put your face on the product. Don't do a faceless thing, because you're on the line then. It's important to make sure, if you do one of these anonymous faceless products or SaaS products or YouTube channels, it can be easier in some ways, but you're letting yourself off the hook. So make sure you align your own personal brand with the product. Make sure you stand for what you're selling, I'd say.
I think part of where
it also goes back to the idea of affinity, which is the know, like, trust factor in business. And that is that if people know who you are and like and know and trust you, they're more likely to do business with you. And so that goes to your point, Mike. Sorry,
I think part of my
Darby.
question too, for a little extra clarity, and I think for someone, I'd like to hear where your thoughts are on this, Travis, from seeing so many different creators get started in this space with Kajabi, is less about, oh, someone's, good or bad. Obviously, you want to do good in the world, but some people just starting out is saying, like, how can I monetize this? They may have like an adverse feeling to putting a paywall up to take money from somebody to do something as a service, but obviously you need money and revenue and all the things to be able to have a greater impact. Have you seen or like learned any lessons or examples from people that how to get over that hump of, hey, I have this idea and I'm really good at helping people, but I just don't know how to actually monetize it yet because I'm worried that I'm actually doing a bad thing by putting a paywall in front of this?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think sometimes we take our knowledge for granted. Why would someone want to pay me for that? That's just second nature. But helping people for free is a really good thing at first. First of all, it builds great karma. I always think of it like I want an army of karma out there, or like little seeds I've planted just for the good nature of it, right? But it also helps you practice and connect with someone. The downside is then you undervalue your knowledge and what you're doing. The good news is too, you'll start to get feedback from people. You'll start to get stories, success stories, and you realize, oh my God, that saved that person $10,000. Or I'll get texts from people to this day, like, I became a millionaire because of Kajabi, and that is awesome. I love that. And I think it's important to find the value. We go to college and look at how much it costs per unit at some of these universities. I have 2 kids in college. I know how much it costs. And it's like, why wouldn't you charge $1,000 for that course, or $2,500 for that weekend virtual summit, whatever it is? Because if it has that value, you're helping them. If you're ripping them off, then that's not good. Like Google used to have the thing, do no evil. And as digital entrepreneurs, authenticity and integrity is important. I remember I heard an entrepreneur one time said, how can I be more authentic? Just be yourself, be honest. do the right thing when nobody's looking. As a SaaS founder, we have all kinds of decisions that we have to make, like when it comes to refunds or how we build things. And my theory when it came to refunds, if you need a refund, you're going to get a refund. Like it's, there's no reason to scam anybody. And that happens sometimes in this business. And it drives me crazy because I've seen a lot of the good side of it. In fact, as I was coming in, I thought this whole business was a scam. And in 2004, I would get these emails from this guy about make money online. And then he died in a car racing accident. And here in Orange County, he was in the Orange County Register. And his name was Corey Ruddle. If you look him up, he's old school marketer. And they wrote an article about his life. And I was like, oh, this was real. I think it's important for the good guys to win and the good guys to be out there. I'm always telling Mike, I'm like, Mike, you guys need to raise your prices. What you're doing is worth more. And you need to see the value in yourself and not think that it has no value because you can change people's lives. Social impact, the stories. Sometimes I've gotten to tears interviewing customers. There was a guy that taught how to start a lawn service and he would just shoot videos on how to do this. And then he started doing courses. And some guy messaged him once. He was like, dude, I was at the end of my rope. I thought about ending it. I watched your videos. I kept watching your videos. I went and got a truck. I bought a used lawnmower and now I'm making money. It's important for us as humans to help each other. You might be a little further down the trail, turn back and be like, hey, come on, you can do this. You can start this business. You can get out of debt. You can go back to school. You can move beyond whatever it is. And it's important for us to do that.
Couldn't agree more. And Kelley just joined in, and I think this is a great toss over to you, Kelley, related to supporting aspiring knowledge entrepreneurs and those that are looking to get started in monetizing their knowledge and making an impact with it. What are some roles that you can play as an educator or an institution that is fostering this type, whether it's college, whether it's independent university online? What are some ways that you can support in supporting people right out the gate that are fundamental for success and at least getting started out on the right foot?
I think there's a number of things. And like the first thing that I always like to do just as an educator, regardless, is that I love to empower people, everybody on here, everybody watching the replays. Everybody can educate somebody on something, right? The biggest thing that shows up when it comes to getting your wisdom out there, getting your expertise out there is that imposter syndrome, that who am I to talk about this? All of you have expertise to share with somebody. And so I think that's the biggest thing where I love, whether I'm teaching college or I'm working with my clients, everybody has their purpose and their role here to teach something to somebody else. And this is like an embarrassing and funny story. So I'm going to tell this really quickly. When I first started teaching in the state of California, there was a shortage of teachers. And so they actually were hiring teachers who weren't fully credentialed. When I started teaching in the late 90s, all you had to do to be a teacher was you had to have never been arrested and you had to have a bachelor's. And that was it. Yeah. And so I went into teaching and I got a job teaching earth science, which is not what my background is in, and it's not what I was majoring in. And I taught sixth grade earth science, and I literally knew nothing about like plate tectonics and volcanoes. So I would stay like 2 chapters ahead of my students. Like I literally was, these poor children, I hope none of them became scientists, but like I literally was staying 2 chapters ahead of my 6th graders in what I was teaching them. But what I came to realize, and I still carry this with me, is that even though I didn't know that much more than they did, I was still able to teach them something, right? I didn't have to be a scientist. I didn't have to have I didn't need a doctorate in plate tectonics. I just had to know a little bit more than they did in order to be able to give them knowledge. And this is true for all of us. It's true for all of us. So don't get caught up in the weeds. Know that just you posting, you being here, you showing up, you trying to figure out how can I scale my business so that I can serve, so that I can be present, so that I can show up with my clients. Like you've already taken the first step, right? You've already taken that commitment to wanting to share your expertise, and know that there's somebody out there that's praying for what you have to share.
think that leads to my next question. Taireez, I'd love to hear your take on it and then get a rapid round for this. What is like one success metric that you know that you have done like a good job, call it a KPI or otherwise? Are there any specific metrics that you're looking for as
Yeah.
a knowledge entrepreneur in measuring success in something where you're maybe selling something that's an intangible information product? What is something that you've seen or that you look for in your own ventures that indicates that you are doing a good job and you're on the right track?
It's interesting. I'm going to go with what Travis was saying earlier, and that is when people actually do something that you've asked them to do and they follow through on it, and then they see the success of it, and then they come back to you. It's the best feeling in the world. And that to me is the metric. So every time I talk about geographical arbitrage, or if I'm talking about the resume writing app, the first thing people tell me as soon as they watch the videos or the courses, oh my God, this is really important. I didn't know this, or I didn't know I could do this or that, the other thing. They get really excited. And then when they go through and they actually do what I've asked them to do, then they come back to me again and tell me again how well that information worked for them. And that gives me nothing but pure joy.
Mike, same question to you.
I think I tend to agree that you can focus on like hard metrics, number of visits and sales and hours spent watching or whatever, or uses. But I think the number one is just how many people are actually thanking you afterwards for sharing the knowledge. And then also just what level of improvement in the people that used your services. Did it actually work for them? Did they learn more?
Yeah, the referrals. I just got a new client. I said, how did you hear about me? She said, I was on a cruise in the Galapagos and I met a woman who used your services. You're talking about me on a cruise in the Galapagos? I'll take it. I think people talking about me, I think people that have been with me for years and all of a sudden the phone rings and it's, hey, it's Bill. We haven't talked in a while, but I need you again. So it's just knowing that you made an impact, that they remember you. And I'd say the most important word in listening to this has to do with operating with integrity, because so many businesses are putting services out there and people, particularly small business owners, are getting ripped off, completely ripped off. And so the way in which we as knowledge entrepreneurs behave, treat other people, how people talk about it is really not only important, but the biggest KPI.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when people have had success from something I built or created. That is incredible. I think the other one too, it's important because if you want to have it be entrepreneurship, then it has to monetize. And here's a simple formula that I have because people are afraid to go there and they'll share on social media for a long time, but they'll never go over that hump. It has to have these three things. The first thing is, can I create a product? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a one-on-one? Is it a webinar? The next thing is there people that would want this thing? Do they want it? And then the last one is profit. Would they pay for it? And if you can dial that formula in, you will have success. And then you will be able to fund this beautiful thing that you love to do. That's the hard part is you may love it, but if you're struggling to monetize, how long can you do it? Or you have to have a day job. And I have great examples of pivots. Like there's a lady that loved pet photography and she was good at it. And she'd teach you how to do pet photography. So instead of doing a course on pet photography, she was also a pet photographer. So she taught you how to start a pet photography business. And by just twisting that little thing, she still got to do the thing she loved. She would do these awesome retreats where they would go somewhere cool. People would bring their pets and they would learn how to take good photos. And it really is about being a business person also, like in learning business and learning from people that know how to monetize and know how to use social media and know how to build things like Pickaxe. Like I'm telling you, Pickaxe is such a huge disruptor. I skipped over the technology question, but Kajabi was incredible because it disrupted and it made it easy for a lot of people to do it. And things like Pickaxe makes it easy for anybody to build a social and AI tool like right now. Literally within 30 minutes, you could build something. And that is the future. All of us should be diving into AI in some way and learning how our knowledge entrepreneur business can grow with that.
And with that, their AI is a massively disrupting technology. What are some future or some trends that you're seeing right now that you think knowledge entrepreneurs should be aware of for future growth? Kelley, I'll start with you.
I think one of the biggest things is just the expansion, right? If you remember when AI first came out, it was really all around content creation and people were really focused on how can I create content. And then we saw that expansion with video. And now, like we talked about on the earlier session, we're seeing more and more platforms having more and more things, creating these all-in-one platforms. So we're no longer having to string together a bunch of AI tools and platforms. We're starting to see companies come out and really strive to do this all-in-one, what if everything that could be in this one form. I'm actually on one of the committees for Capshow, who's developing a new tool. And they're really striving to be like, how can we make the tools so that it's everything someone could need is right inside of it? And I think that's where we're going. I think we're going to be moving away from what are the 5 tools you use to what is the one platform that has everything that you need for your business.
Thank you. Mike, what trends should knowledge entrepreneurs be aware of for the future growth?
Oh, there's a ton of them, I'd say.
Maybe top.
I'd say
top ones that you're seeing right now.
Yeah, a couple top ones. I'd say people are growing much more comfortable with the sort of chat interface as a way to get information. Google is now more and more often replacing your search results with an AI generated chat result. ChatGPT launched their search thing. That's what Pickaxe is about. We let you launch chatbots or forms, but people are becoming much more comfortable every month using AI as a product. It's a good idea to incorporate it, I would say. Another thing is I think social media is going to become way more media rich and diverse. Already we see way more images. Since AI image generators came out, it's generated more images than have ever been generated in the last 100 years of photography and all sorts of stuff. You're going to see much more rich media on social media, text, images, and increasingly video. There's AIs that can edit videos, and the video generators are getting better themselves. And then I think the third one, which is harder to say exactly how it's going to pan out, but there's going to be there already is, but there'll be some sort of crisis of citation and facts and these sorts of things. I think communicating to people where you're getting information from will be more and more important, and verifying that it's actually based on fact and not just AI hallucinated. So those are 3 trends I'd keep an eye on.
Thank you. Taireez, what trends should knowledge entrepreneurs be aware of for their future growth?
I want to say that I'm seeing that there's a crisis in loneliness in the world. And so I want to say that there should be I feel like there ought to be, and I'm seeing slow moves towards this, and that is a hybrid kind of learning model where you've got communities that get together and do cool things like Remote Year. Remote Year is not just a group where you can get in and go traveling together and learn while you're traveling to different countries each month, but it also gives you the idea. Now they're moving into a space where you can actually get into a trip with them virtually. So I feel like augmented reality with the community base and then having real life, it might all just come together to actually help us alleviate the loneliness issue and actually come back to where we were, which is we are social animals.
Thank you. Shelly, what trends are you seeing that knowledge entrepreneurs should be aware of for their future growth?
Yeah, I think to pick up on what Taireez was saying, it's proven that we are a culture of isolation and loneliness. And in many ways, it's a big problem for all ages. And so in many ways, our relationship to the screen is becoming stronger than our relationship to other humans. So to go back in there's 3 things. One is, and I say this, young, old business skills. If you want to run a business, you got to go back and learn the business skills. It's particularly like what Travis was saying earlier. You can't just years ago, you could hang a shingle, and if you had a good personality, you could close a business. In today's world, you've got to know something about running a business. That's 1. 2 is speaking skills. This summit happened to attract great people, but there's nothing worse than taking time out of your day to mediocre, boring speakers. It's a waste, but you don't have to be there. You have to learn how to be a speaker, go to Toastmaster, do something to be able to articulate. And then the community, addressing isolation and loneliness somehow.
Thank you. I'll bring this one back to you, Travis, because I know you've got tons of stories on this fight, but are there a few stories that come top of mind that highlight the true impact of knowledge entrepreneurship? You've already shared some stuff on like the lawn care and otherwise, but are there any others that come top of mind that really stand out to you from your experience?
Let me answer the one about trends real quick because I missed that. And
oh, sorry about that. Yeah.
I love that this trend is happening. It's the biggest thing that's happened since the beginning of the internet. And I love that Mike calls the company Pickaxe because it is a gold rush right now. And Pickaxe is a tool that helps people go find gold. And I think it can be overwhelming. And don't be a gold miner. Instead, step back and look at the trends. Look at the trends of that time. Things like Levi's jeans became popular during the gold rush. There was other businesses. And so it's important for us to look at these trends and identify patterns that are relevant to us and what we love. Human factor is great. I love that that was brought up because that is the truth. People still want that human touch. Like what human touch businesses can happen as this AI trend grows. There's so many that can happen. So the next one was success stories. I have so many. One of the best ones was my wife and I were at an event and we were having lunch and we stopped at the restaurant and this lady sat next to me from Canada and she looks at me and she's like, I've made $600,000 on Kajabi. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She tells her story about how she had an online music career back in teen maybe, and she was selling her little music CDs and merch, and it was like this Celtic music. So she sold swords, all this cool stuff. And other people in the music industry are like, how do you do that? And so she started making an online course and she had some opt-in page and she had not found Kajabi at first. So it was very difficult. And then she starts putting on Kajabi, starts sharing it. And she's like, over time, I started making so much money that it radically changed my life and my family's life. And I can remember being in her house. I'm in the house talking to my husband and we're talking about bankruptcy. And this was the end. And I remember telling him, I know I can do this. I know I can share this. I know it'll work. And since then, we bought a new home. My husband quit his job. He works with me. And so it's like, these stories about when you follow your heart about something that is exciting to you, this is another important thing. As an entrepreneur, if you want organic growth, I was lucky enough to build a unicorn. And the way I did it was I kept following the things that seemed interesting to me. Anything in AI right now that seems interesting and seems exciting, or maybe it makes you angry and mad, go explore that because you may find gold. You may find a diamond under one of those rocks, and all of a sudden that's your business, whatever it is. Like it's something I talked to Mike and his team a lot about. There's been a lot of trends as the internet has grown, and there's been web services and different things that happen because of the growth. And there may be a business right underneath your nose and you don't even know it.
Great. Thank you so much, Travis. And same question back to you, Kelley. When everyone would be thinking about what are some like the top success stories that you've seen that really highlight the impact of knowledge entrepreneurship?
I think what I've seen is people leaving their 9 to 5 and going to start their own businesses using the tools that they use from the people that are here and on this panel, right? Seeing people actually take action and being able to move from clocking in and collecting a paycheck to moving into being control of their business, their schedule, and the amount of revenue that they make. I think that's the biggest place that we see success. And I think that knowing that we can help people shape their own life and be in charge and not have to answer to a boss anymore is really what it's all about when it comes to what we want to do as entrepreneurs, is helping other people also become entrepreneurs.
Thank you. Mike, can you share a success story that highlights the impact of knowledge entrepreneurship?
Yeah, totally. It's interesting. But when we first started Pickaxe, we were thinking a lot about the rise of solopreneurs, which is what you were saying, Kelley. But then we started calling them knowledge entrepreneurs. And we see every day, like actually Nathaniel was talking to this guy today. He launched a store on Pickaxe. It's not crazy successful, but pretty successful, taking $600 or $700 a month. But he had just launched it as like a side thing, as a curiosity. And what Travis is talking about, if you're having a problem online, or if you are angry or upset or about something happening online, chances are there's a lot of other people, right? That's probably a gap that exists for other people. So it's fertile ground to look for problems. But he started just a little wealth like advising. If you know what FIRE is, financially independent, retire early. Yeah,
That's right. Mm-hmm.
He launched a suite of tools around this just for his personal use, but then people wanted to use them, and now it's turned into a side business. And we were talking to him a couple of days ago, and he was debating turning it into a whole thing, like a whole business. I don't think he's quite at quitting his job yet, but he was entertaining the idea. And that's indicative of something we see a lot, which is people follow their curiosity, their problems, their passions, Travis's 4 Ps, and then they can often hit upon something that other people want. And it's all very organic often.
Thank you. Taireez, can you share a success story or something of that nature that highlights the impact of knowledge entrepreneurship for you?
I also thought, just going back to Mike, you should tell your friend to get into geographical arbitrage on top of FIRE and then see what happens. because the two go hand in hand.
Make the
But
recommendation.
and for me, that's a success thing. It should just share the information. Don't keep it to yourself. And but I have to give kudos to Mike. I was having issues on Pickaxe, putting my resume onto it, and he took the time to walk me through and actually fix my issues. And that's gold. If customer service face to face, person to person is non-existent right now, that when he emailed me and said, hey, you know what? I see that you're a new person on my platform. Would you like to meet with us to see if you have any issues? And I thought, yeah, I do actually I am having issues. And then, so then we met, and he spent an hour with me, and he made me understand exactly how everything works. And I am forever grateful that he did that.
I'm a very strange type of knowledge entrepreneur. I'm an expert in the software that I built with my co-founders, and I pretty much largely give it away for free if you use the software, which is not a model I would suggest other people do. But that's the type of knowledge entrepreneur I am. I build tools for them, and then I become an expert in the tool and teach them how to use it.
What does this mean?
Just, it's always fun to work with people who are passionate about what they're building and help them build it. So I enjoyed every minute of that hour.
Thank you so
you can
much.
absolutely tell with someone like you that is passionate about the tool that they're building, and it shows, Mike. And I think that just obviously has a ripple effect into the users that you're building and the community that you're building. So just want to highlight that point. Shelly, same question back to you. Success story that highlights the impact of knowledge entrepreneurship from your perspective.
Yeah, I think of two. I think one about what I've done with you, which is, and the one I did with Constant Contact. Constant Contact, we'll talk about that first. Constant Contact is right in my backyard. I'm in Newton, they're in Waltham. And I had a voice. I had something that I wanted to share, and they were doing event marketing. How do you reach a large amount of people? It's a lot harder on your own. So when they were doing event planning, I created events with them, but used their list. And because I really didn't want to speak and not get paid, I got sponsors. So I was a paid speaker. I was in front of the audience. We put together the truth about succeeding in women-owned businesses. We put it out there between their list and my reputation. We had 125 people sign up in 24 hours. We had 123 people in the room. Everyone left as a signed member for Constant Contact, and I got 23 clients that I filtered into groups and one-to-ones. And the reason that is so important, it's actually what I'm talking about today, is to take someone else's strengths and to combine them with your own, like I've done with Darby, gives me so much, gives us power, leverage each other's brand, leverage each other's knowledge, and create win-wins for the other person, yourself, and the people that are at the event.
That's great, Shelly. Thank you for sharing. We'll have one last round of questions here before we are out of time. We have to wrap up this panel. It's been great so far. Thank you all for sharing. I want to leave everyone who's watching this live or on the recording with one piece of advice. Travis, we'll start with you, that you would give somebody who is just starting their journey as a knowledge entrepreneurship. If you pick one piece of advice that you found most useful for someone just starting their journey in knowledge entrepreneurship, what would that be?
I got the opportunity to interview a lot of successful knowledge entrepreneurs, and the biggest thing that always was stopping them is just not going. It was like once I got started and then I saw a little bit of success, and you definitely can get stuck along the way. And I like that advice that Shelly just gave. And here's another one. If you're stuck and you're like, you don't want to go, then find a partner. There's so many good stories of people that were like, I'm good at video, you're good at golf. Let me film you doing golf tutorials. Like, you would be surprised. Like when we built Kajabi, we used to say this: everybody is good at something, or they know someone who is good at something. And just get out there and start talking about it, and do it for free at first, free through social media, free do some one-on-ones, and then start to ask them questions. Would you pay me for this? How much would you pay me for this? What else could I do that would help you? And the customer will tell you what you want. I have stories of entrepreneurs that launched knowledge products and hadn't built the course yet. They would charge $1,000, and then they would survey them as they came in, and the first module would be ready next Monday because they would look at the survey questions. And so just jump off the cliff. You'll make it. As long as there's a little bit of water down there, maybe peek over the edge, make sure there's water. But that's what being an entrepreneur is, doing scary stuff. And you just got to do it. Make sure there's water. You don't want to die, but You'll love it after you went.
Build the plane while you're falling, as they say. Kelley, one piece of advice that you'd give someone just starting their journey as a knowledge entrepreneur.
I'd say be adaptable. Like times are changing, people change, their needs change. I'm sure many of us, our businesses have gone through a lot of iterations, and there probably could have been a lot of times where the current product or service I was selling wasn't selling anymore. And I could have been like, oh, I'm shutting the doors. I guess isn't working, but really being able to adapt and not take it personally. Just know that's just part of what happens. Everything evolves. And with that, we need to evolve also. I think the biggest things I see with companies and even just entrepreneurs that go out of business is because they didn't have that ability and that willingness to adapt.
It's great. Mike, same question.
I can summarize it in one word, I'd say. You should socialize. And I think one thing that I've picked up from this panel, which has been really awesome, is that humans are social animals and they want contact with other humans. They're always going to want that. And as a lot of the real life places dissolve where people socialize, and there's actually almost more opportunities to socialize online. You can live anywhere and you can access all different types of people and communities. And people are always going to want to talk to other people and learn about them. And the internet makes that easier. Like all of us are here together. And there's a lot of awesome platforms to make community on. Like Travis has this one, Tap Member. There's this really cool app I saw the other day, which is Go Brunch. It's like a meeting room, but it's physical and people can be in different spaces. And I would really say just socialize, meet people, and you'll find customers, you'll find mentors, you'll find all sorts of stuff.
Great advice. Taireez, what advice would you give to someone starting their journey as a knowledge entrepreneur?
I think you start with one idea that's the core idea of your expertise, and then build out on it. I think Kelley mentioned during her today that if you are giving away too much information or you're giving too much in one go, then nothing gets instilled in a person. So if you go in for the core thing first and then build out, then you can have more avenues to run down. Then you can also have people understand where you're coming from first. So with geographical arbitrage, it's not just about saving money while traveling the world. It's also about taxes and learning how to get healthcare and all these. But if I go into all of that all at once, I'm going to lose you. But if I had told you about just one thing, and that was if you make $120,000 or less and you travel outside the US for 330 days and you pay no federal tax, that's one thing I've just imparted that would probably change your life. And then I would work around that particular piece to then show you, okay, how does the rest of geographical arbitrage actually work? Because that's the one main thing that would mean something to you.
Thank you, Taireez. Shelly, question same to you. What
Yeah.
advice would you give
I'd say
someone
there's a
just
couple
starting
of
their
things.
journey?
From my life experience, I think the two key words are commitment and accountability. Very often we make a commitment to, I don't know, start a company, and then we realize it's hard. We change directions, and then we say, maybe that's not working. I think I'll do this. And commitment, a commitment to what you want to do, who you want to be. And the other side of that is being accountable. Every 30 days, what's working? Let's capitalize on it. What isn't working? Let's stop doing it. And just to the end that, my dad died 60 years ago. And I don't know how many years ago, I got a letter from an uncle saying, wanted you to have this. It's from your dad, and it's on my wall. And it says, it's from the Talmud. And it says, sorry, in proportion to thy efforts will be thy recompense. So that's my mantra. So when you feel like quitting, or you're tired, or you're worn out, okay, if I stop trying, what's my result going to be? In proportion to your efforts will be your recompense. Thank you, Dad.
Thank you, Shelly, and thank you everyone here for joining us on this panel. We got a couple minutes left, and so I actually wrote one question that I want to ask. I want to ask you, Travis, this question is, what is something that I did not ask on this panel that you think that I should have asked, and what would your answer be to that question?
No pressure.
Maybe the education question on here about how can education help entrepreneurs? And I think the number one thing is all entrepreneurs have to be good at self-education. You need to be lifelong learners. In fact, we used to do that when we would interview people at Kajabi. We would ask something that was really hard and be like, what would you do if you didn't know it? And if they, I don't know, if they didn't say Google it or watch a YouTube, that was the end of the interview. And I think we need to learn how to be lifelong learners.
Right.
And then we need to take time to be quiet and see how that learning has inspired us, because action that is inspired is unstoppable. And forced action, keep grinding without that inspiration, gets burnt out, has anxiety. But when you can take action based on what inspires you, the things you're learning, or the, like we said, problems, it doesn't always need to be things you love. Sometimes it's something that makes you mad, or you're like, it's an injustice, and you may have the solution. AI is going to change how we build things. It's going to be easier to solve problems. And you need to jump into the AI world with both feet and just learn it, get comfortable, see what you like, whether it's music or images or chatbots, and start to learn how you can help make the world better, because that's the decade we're coming into. Like right now, we're in an app boom. And this is something I talked to Mike about. There's going to be a time when there's going to be app fatigue, because it's going to be so easy to build apps that it'll be out of control. And it's really about looking at these waves. If you're good at surfing, you cannot control the waves. The best you can do is get on your surfboard and ride the waves. So I think the best advice I would give is, what wave do you want to ride right now, and enjoy it? It's overwhelming, but it's also fun and exciting.
Thank you so much, Travis, Kelley, Mike, Shelly, and Taireez, all for your contributions to the panel. Tons of insights here, and thank you for your time. And everyone catching the replays and the recordings, let us know what insights that you took away from this panel, something that you are going to go and implement from it. And of course, as we always say, keep calm and AI on. Let's go ahead and ride that wave. We'll go ahead and take a quick break here,
And
guys,
that tune.
and then we'll be right back. All right.
Nice to be
Thank
with
you,
all of you.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
See
Be
ya.
right back.
Everybody.